Welcome, everybody. This is Paul McManus, the marketing manager for Advisor Bridge Asset Management, and I'm joined today by President and CEO Shane Walls. Welcome, Shane.
Thank you very much.
All right, so today we have a brief video for you that is near and dear to our hearts, I know, which is how you can save your firm at least $100,000 in taxes this year. So let's jump right into it. So Shane, first question I have for you is, what is a cash balance plan?
Well, a cash balance plan is it's a type of qualified plan, and a lot of people have heard of it, but a lot of people don't know what it is and how effective it is. So I really talk about it in a way it's a lot like a 401k, and it's beyond a 401k. So it's, a lot of clients and prospects that I meet with are having a lot of tax problems, and they're, because of 401k and a profit sharing plan, you're maxed out at $53,000 a year. So they're looking at something, how can I put more money into a plan, or how can I get a bigger tax deduction? And a cash balance plan, we layer it on top of a 401k, and so it basically works in conjunction with a 401k and profit sharing plan. And they all have to be tested together by the same actuarial third-party administrative firm. So, because every year they do the testing on it and tell you how much money you can put into it based on, the revenue and everything. So, and it's, it is corporate contributions to the plan. So it's, the company makes the contributions, and there's ways. I've got some partnerships where the people can actually, charge, part of the contribution back to the owners or the partners. And so there's all kind of ways to structure it, all depending on the goals of the client. But you can put a much, much larger tax deduction or tax deductible contribution into a cash balance plan, especially when it's layered with a 401k and profit share.
Okay, fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and to our next slide. And so the question is what are the benefits of the cash balance plan? So, benefits like I was just talking about, there's, you can put up to 5 times the contribution limits on a 401k profit sharing plan. And it's tax savings same way. We can double and triple the tax savings. And it's all age and, for whatever your salary is and your age and everything all comes into play. But, and it can be comboed with a 401k. So a lot of companies already have a 401k set up with a profit sharing plan, and some of them just have a 401k. Smaller companies may have just a solo 401k, or maybe even a SEP if you're a single individual, just 1099 income. But what we do is to get optimal contributions into the plan, we set up a 401k, profit share, and cash balance plan, which is really all almost the same plan, except monies are put in different areas to optimize the tax savings and the contributions. And also it's a way to expedite retirement savings, because a lot of the business owners I get, they've been putting money back into their business for years, and they don't have a lot of savings. They got some money in a 401k usually, but not a lot. So it's a way, especially when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s in this plan, where you put a lot more money into it than you could if you're in your 20s and 30s. So it's a great way to make another bubble of money, into a plan where it actually is going to make a difference. Not just where you got $200,000 or $300,000. I'm talking about where you got $2 or $3 million saved because of the tax savings that impacts. And then we also have what I've figured out over the last year is something really significant in some of our planning, but it's how to give the option to invest in real estate deals or real estate properties with your qualified plan in your 401k. Tell us more about that. That is exciting. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, and it is. It's kind of a game changer in what I'm doing. Because my company, we've always had proprietary funds, different. And of course, I've got access to any funds that are out there when I build these 401k plans. But what I've done, over the last year, I've figured out a way to actually
I've got a trust company that I work with that's a custodian who specializes in self-directed plans. And what that is yeah, we're going to set it up, and we still got all the mutual funds available that we normally would have in a plan for people that want to just simply pick a mutual fund, low-cost mutual fund. And now we've built in I'm going to call it a sleeve, a self-directed sleeve in the 401k, where now these guys have options to invest in alternatives, and that could be gold, silver, anything else they want to put money into. There's a few things they can't put it into, like artwork, and there's a couple other things, but very, very small area where you can't put money into. But they can. But what I find is a lot of people want to invest money in real estate, especially people that are in that field. I got several clients that for years they knew they needed to set this plan up, but they didn't want to, simply because they knew they could make a lot more money doing the real estate deals with their money, even with the tax savings involved. So once I figured this out, they became a client immediately, because they now can use their money for the same deals they were doing before in real estate, and they don't have to put their money into a mutual fund. And I've learned that with developers, builders, and different real estate brokers that do different things. That if it's a perfect fit for those guys, especially. But so we build a sleeve for that, and it can be, so if somebody's already got a 401k set up, we can simply change the custodian to this trust company that specializes in this, have the same mutual funds they have, or I always look at those and try to get some low cost mutual funds involved, and make the plan low cost as possible. That's kind of my goal in that. But then add that sleeve to it where they can actually put money, quite a bit more money away, and then invest in some of these other things I'm talking about. And then if someone has, so someone would have qualified plans, so you can roll. Let's just say, for an example, you have a 401k with your business right now, and you just started it about 2 years ago, and you may have, $80,000 in it, or $30,000 or $50,000, whatever you have in it. And you're like, okay, I'd rather have some of the money I have in my IRA or my SEP that I had a long time ago. Maybe they have another $50,000 or $100,000, or maybe $200,000 in another plan. You can roll that into your current 401k and use that for different real estate deals. So one of the other things is, okay, I get this a lot too. It's like, okay, I don't know anything about real estate. Well, that's not the time to get involved in real estate. So you don't want to guess on things.
Right.
So one of the things I've been able to establish, and I've had a couple of these relationships for a long time, is I've got a builder and developer. I got two different ones that I use for people that want to get into real estate without taking on the projects themselves. It's passive income. And because I got one of my contacts builds hotels, and there's Marriott's and Hilton's that put their brand on his deals, and you don't get that by doing bad deals. So got some, and another guy, another client of mine in Austin, same thing. He builds apartment complexes and condos. So I've got some clients that people can actually do projects with, and where they're paying an average return of 10 or 12% plus. And so, mutual funds are not getting that. And so I try to figure out things that other people don't figure out along the way. And this is one of them where, if I didn't have these relationships, it'd probably be harder for people, but that don't know anything about real estate. Cause I wouldn't just go out and try to, buy houses and rehab. You don't have time to do all that stuff, first of all. But if that's your business, this works great for that type of person. But if that's not your mainstream of business, then you should be, at least they have an option to have a different avenue to put some money into, where they can get some better returns than your average mutual fund is earning right now. It's just the way of the market. Matter of fact, me and my wife, we just put all of our 401k and I have a 401k, and she's got one with her company, but she had changed jobs a while back, so we had an IRA. So we've just put all of our money into a couple of different deals that we're doing with both of these guys I'm talking about.
I think that says a lot, where, these strategies that you're talking about, it's not just something that you recommend to people, but it's something that you actively pursue because the return on investment and how safe these things are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in any real estate deal or any mutual fund, you can lose all your money. Definitely, it's something that could happen. But I've had some relationships with guys that have a track record, and they've never lost money on a deal. So it's guys I feel comfortable with and know that they'll take care of my clients. So and my money as well. And I'm tired of earning 3, 4, 5% and having negative years with those years being up. And so it's like the averages are not as good as they have they were a long time ago. So I knew it was time to figure out something else, and this is just a much better avenue for people that want to get involved in self-directed plans.
That's fantastic. So, we started this video with the promise of how to save at least $100,000 in taxes immediately. We've been talking about the cash balance plan. We've been talking about the option of doing this now as a real estate investor and actually making beyond what a typical cash balance plan would produce. So let's talk about a very specific case about the developer group that you've worked with.
Yeah, so this is a client. I'm going to kind of go through their case, and use some real numbers. It's a developer, and the two owners, they're in their 40s and late 40s and late 50s, and they both make over $250,000 a year. So the total contribution between the two of them, between the 401k profit share plan and the cash balance plan, their total contribution together that they can put into the plan is $363,000.
Mm-hmm.
And the tax savings on that is about $163,000. So that is the difference between just a profit share and a 401k, and then you add the cash balance piece, because the 401k and 401k and profit share, you would only be able to put about $53,000 each. So about $106,000, and now you're all of a sudden you went from 106 to 353,000. So huge differences. Now, the drawbacks to this type of plan is that you have to give money to your employees. So in this situation, they have 15 employees, and the total they would have to contribute to the employees into their profit sharing plan and the cash balance plan together would be right at $70,000. So you got to be able to get 363 of your own money in, or 363,000. You had to give away about $70,000 to the employees, and these guys have some pretty highly comped employees. That's why that number is maybe, I don't know if that sounds high to some people, but that's why. But he wanted to take care of these guys because some of them are his main guys that he really wanted to take care of. So in this situation, it worked out perfect. People that have employees that are earning under $50,000 a year, those numbers would be cut in half, really, of what you have to give away to the employees. But then again, there's some companies that already match. So if you're already matching, it's just a real simple way of just making a few changes, but because of the tax savings, it makes sense no matter what that number was you had to give to your employees, because these guys didn't have anywhere else to put the money for a tax deduction, and now they do. But at the same time, they're able to put their money back where they want it to go, and that's back in real estate. So that's the game changer, and it makes a huge difference. So all these plans are totally different based on your goals. We can design them in just about any way you want to, and because we can make different categories for the different types of employees you have, and do all kind of things. So there's not one way to slice and dice these types of plans. I've seen the one thing that really people need to know is that there's very few third-party administrators that know how to really crunch the numbers and get these numbers heavily in the owner's favor.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with two of them that know how to do it, because I've been working with them for a long time. But they've been doing it for over 25 years. And I used to work with some local guys here in San Antonio that were pretty good at crunching numbers, but their results were always less appealing than these other groups that I've been working with recently. So it makes a huge difference on who you're working with. You just got to know who the people are that know how to really make these things happen in that space. And I've been fortunate enough to meet those people through other guys that do these types of plans that are in a higher level field. So the total contribution between the owners and the company to the employees was about $437,000 a year. and the total company corporate tax reduction was $197,038. So that's the kind of numbers we're looking at. You know, it works. The fewer employees you have, the better, but that doesn't mean it won't work for. I've got another group we're working with right now that's got 32 employees, but they make a lot less than these guys do, and the numbers are about the same as what we have on here because the salaries are not as high. So it all depends on, you know, what types of people you have working for you, what they make, and so we just gather all that data, find out your goals, you know, because everybody's got different goals with this, not just the tax judge. Sometimes like, hey, I want to take care of these employees. You know, they've been with us a long time. How do we do that? So there's different ways of doing it through the profit sharing piece. So, but it's super flexible, and we design it based on, you know, the group that we're working with.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's three key things that I heard there. One is that if you want to start earning higher returns, that you have the ability to do that through the real estate option. I believe you said 10 to 12% versus the typical 3 to 4% that a lot of people make nowadays. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the average. That's the average over time that these guys have been paying out to the investors that come into their deals. And so, you know, I really wish I had known that a long time ago. But it's just like anything else; it's better late than never. But I mean, the fact that I just and one of them was a really close friend of mine. I've been trying to get me to work with him for a long time, and I never really sat down. You know, I don't think he ever really told me, you know, what kind of returns they're given on these projects they're working on, being the Marriotts and the Hiltons. But now that I know that, you know, we got involved in all this, and I had another group ask me, hey, is there any way we can put these back into our own deal? You know, so I really went to town and started trying to figure something out, and just ended up asking a bunch of questions to the right people, and ended up finding the group, the custodian that can actually do this and set it up. And it also works for people that just have IRAs. You can do your IRA with this. You don't have to be part of a company or anything. You can do this with your IRA, because I got some other clients who are about to get involved that only have IRAs with me. So, you know, it's not limited to just 401ks, profit sharing, cash balance in that instance. But just it's good stuff to know.
Yeah. So that's one is that the ability to earn higher returns. The other one is the ability, you know, higher returns are great. But as you said, you know, nothing's ever 100% guaranteed, but with the cash balance plan that we've been talking about, is that if that's a good fit for your current income situation, your firm's income situation, that's essentially guaranteed. I mean, you can immediately reduce your tax liability by $100,000+.
Yeah, so even if you lost money in a plan like that, if you lost money in a plan like that on an annual basis, your tax savings is going to outweigh that. So, you know, if you can do both, it's great. But, you know, nothing's guaranteed, but it is the tax savings is a guarantee.
The tax savings is guaranteed, right?
Yes, you're right.
That was the point I wanted to underscore. And so let's go ahead, and as we're wrapping up, let's just talk briefly about, you know, who are the ideal candidates for this type of plan.
You know, any firms or individuals making 1099 income, you know, any business owner that's profitable, making a lot of money where the taxes are starting to hurt, you know, and the cash doesn't have to be a cash balance plan immediately. It may be a better fit if there's just a, you know, where you're maybe putting, you know, $50,000 or $53,000 away, and you have a 401k profit sharing plan set up in the beginning until you get to a higher level. So this can be done along the way. But it's got to be, you know, somebody making money where they're getting hurt in taxes. And you know, most of them, it's business owners that are just paying too much in tax.
Can you give us a number? I mean, like, what's that kind of not minimal, but what's that starting point where it starts to make sense for a profitable firm?
If you're making if you're a single individual, maybe a consultant or something, let's just say, use that for an example, and you're making $150,000 a year and you're single, and maybe you don't have a house, you don't have any really much tax write-off, it makes sense to start putting $53,000 away into something there. But, you know, to set up the cash balance plan, you're looking at $350,000, $400,000 net income where you're paying tax on that and up. So, you know, as you get past those numbers, you're really looking for the larger deductions, which is kind of what we're talking about here.
Perfect.
And then again, you know, these work best for firms that have less than 50 employees, you know, ideally 10, 20 and less, but it depends. You know, there's another firm I'm talking to right now, and they've got over 50 employees, but the money they're making is more than most companies put together that I have as clients. So they can still do this. And so it doesn't, it just depends on, the income, the net income they have, a company would have coming in. But, and again, 1099 income, it works well with this. I had another guy a couple of years ago, he made, a couple $1 million in 1099 income. He's single by himself. That's all. So it worked out great for him. Because we set up a cash balance plan with 401k profit sharing for him. And then any firm that already has a 401k established that's looking for, to do some alternative investing, meaning real estate or different things. So if you already have a 401k established and maybe you don't have a profit sharing side to it, we could add that to it and, check and see if a cash balance plan may be a way to go. So that's just, but that's usually the ideal candidates, firms that don't have too many employees that are highly profitable and paying too much in tax.
And, the question I have for you is, do CPAs normally recommend this or do CPAs normally tell their clients about a cash balance plan?
Well, I get at least 2 calls a week where people see this stuff that, that we're marketing and they're kind of upset with their CPAs because they haven't told them about this. So, there's a couple ways to look at it. There's some CPAs do know about these types of plans and just really don't. I don't think they've been burned by an advisor or they had one that, maybe they started trying to work with and the advisor tried to sell them a bunch of, annuities or different things that they really didn't need. So, a lot of them are not educated enough to talk about these types of plans in detail. And a lot of the tax laws changed about in 2006. So these plans and everything went into effect in 2008, where you got 7 ways to test these plans and just a lot more flexible. So if a CPA had been around longer than that, they may have seen the old types of plans that got people in trouble. But everything is so much more flexible these days with these types of plans. So a lot of times CPAs just don't know enough to talk, in an educated format about this type of plan. And if they're not working with an advisor that understands these types of plans, because a lot of advisors don't, I know tons of them, and there's only a few that work with these types of plans. It's a specialized area. So what I do is, people that call me, they're sometimes they're upset because they're paying too much in taxes. They didn't know about this, and their CPA's mad. So I just say, hey, I'll be glad to work with your CPA, and so most of the time we'll work it out where I come in and educate the CPA. We get an illustration together, and everything works out pretty good that way. But I don't really want to, you can't bash CPAs for not understanding that because it works better if you have a team of advisors. And this is why my company's called Advisor Bridge, because I work with tax attorneys and CPAs where we can optimize the situations for these firms and individuals from a tax perspective, because I've got different types of plans that we use on an individual basis that goes beyond this type of plan for people that are making even more, where we can get them another tax deduction no matter what kind of money they make. So I've just figured out some really cool tax strategies that a lot of people don't know about, and then some investment strategies that are different too. So try to be a little different, in what we're doing and making a dent on the tax side for sure. Brings us more credibility.
Yeah. Well, it sounds that the bottom line is that we all need a team of advisors that are specialized in our areas of expertise and that can help. In your case, it is to help your clients either increase those returns on investment or to spend a lot less in tax dollars to the government. So 2 things that are incredibly valuable for the right candidates. Now, obviously, as you said, different people have different goals, different situations, et cetera, et cetera. And so for someone that's watching this, they're like, okay, I'm interested, I want to know more. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Shane?
The best way is to just go to our website. It's www. It's right there at the bottom of the page, advisorbridgeinfo.com, like financial advisor bridgeinfo.com. That's the easiest way to find me, and my email's at the top of the page. So easiest way. If you're not already connected to me on LinkedIn, if you are, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. That's the 2 best options to get in touch with us.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And, I'm looking forward to having you help a lot of people spend a lot less in tax money.
Appreciate it, Paul. Take care. All right, bye-bye.